This is Jilliana Ranicar-Breese. This is part one of my conversation with Dennis Massaro, who is in fact the senior pastor at St. Paul's Church in Antalya, in Kaleici, Antalya. And Dennis is American. In fact, we met a couple of years ago, or 3 years ago, when he first arrived. And he is a man on a mission in more ways than one. So Dennis, tell me a bit about your background.
Thank you. It's good to be with you today. I was born and raised in the eastern part of America. My parents both were one of 8 children on both sides.
Italian?
Both of Italian descent. So I am 100% Italian.
What, can you speak Italian?
I cannot. Only English, unfortunately.
American English?
American English and a little bit of Turkish.
I hope so, yes.
I graduated in the 70s from high school and went on to university for 4 years in the Chicago area.
Okay.
And there I studied the social sciences, American history, and theology.
Right.
I came out with
a master's.
I came out with a theology degree as well as a teaching certificate to teach high school.
Okay.
But then I went and served a church for 4 years in the state of Michigan, and then my alma mater, where I graduated from, called me back to work there on the administration. And so for 20 years, I worked at Wheaton College in the suburbs of Chicago, a Christian college, but very highly academic and competitive. It draws students from all over the country and
20 years, that's a long time. Did they give you a pension?
Not much. Education is not known for providing good money, but it's okay. I had a great experience there. I had the privilege to invest in students.
Right.
Thinking, bright, hopeful students who had hopes for the future. And part of my job was to send students on programs all over the world. So
what kind of programs?
They were service programs. They served the people of the countries that they were a part of in a variety of ways.
Okay.
They helped
in
in
the
orphanages.
third world?
Third world, first world, all over.
Okay.
Asia, Africa, Europe, South America, all the places.
But then you went away from the church, and why? What happened?
Yes, thank you. In the late 90s, I had given myself to the work so much that it had implications for my marriage. And so...
You mean you split from your wife?
I did.
Right.
After 16 years of marriage and 2 children.
Right. You had
divorced.
A daughter, didn't you?
2 daughters.
Yes, I remember.
I have.
Yes.
Right now I have a 27-year-old daughter who lives in Denver. She is a life coach.
Oh, right.
And is just launching that business.
Yeah.
I have a second daughter who's 24. She lives in the south of the country of America. Her husband is in medical school.
Okay.
And she has 2 children.
Okay.
A little boy and just a
So
little
you're
girl.
A granddad.
I am.
Now, tell me, what world did you go into after your 20 years service?
I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do.
But why did you want to change?
Well, because in America, when you're divorced, it has a stain on it.
Really?
Yeah, it does.
You mean in the region where you were?
Yes.
A social stigma, you might say.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Right.
So I decided to leave vocational ministry and get into the business world. I was a people person. I enjoyed numbers and people, so it seemed that the mortgage business was a good place to go.
But you weren't materialistic, though, were you?
No, I wasn't. But the mortgage business had the potential to be incredibly lucrative, and it was. I did extremely well.
I mean, did you kind of retrain?
I did.
Or you served an apprenticeship? Or...
No, I did. I just jumped right in, and I learned as I went.
Okay.
And 16 years.
Wow.
I was in the mortgage business.
Wow. You got one for yourself, did you?
Yes, I did. I had a couple for myself. So
And where were you? Which
I was in
state?
the Chicago area.
Chicago, okay.
I lived in the Chicago area for almost 40 years.
Okay. Okay.
In 2012, the founder and pastor of St. Paul Union Church here, who had been one of my students in the early 80s,
Oh.
came to America.
Right.
And he ended up in the Chicago area for meetings, so he contacted me and said, I'd like to speak with you.
Okay.
Okay?
Uh-huh.
And he did. He said, I'm working on my PhD dissertation. Would you be willing to come to Antalya, Turkey, to be the interim pastor of the church for 3 months?
And you went, huh? Where is it?
That's exactly what I felt. Like, wow, I can't believe this. I thought about it for 2 months. I spoke with many people I respected, mentors and advisors, and they said, we think this is a great idea.
Go for it.
So in 2013, I came to Antalya for the first time, sight unseen,
And that's
for 3
when I
months,
met you.
and had an amazing experience.
Did you have an epiphany?
Well, I felt like I got life back. I do. I fell in love with the people, the Turkish people. Because of my Italian roots, there was a sense of camaraderie with our Mediterranean roots.
Right.
We understood each other.
Yes.
Now, someone told me when I came, if you don't learn the Turkish language, you might as well move back to America because you will never be able to relate to people here.
Well, that's partly true. I'm a linguist myself, but at least make an effort.
Yes, and I have learned some, but I will tell you that many of the people here, knowing I'm from America, they want to speak English.
Of course they do.
And so we've had a great experience.
And language exchange.
Yes, it's been very good, and I think there are some common values. So anyway, in the 3 months, I was finished. I went back to America.
Right.
I had a great experience here.
Right.
Chalk it up to something wonderful.
Right.
Back to the mortgage business.
Okay.
And
So you thought.
James came back to America 2 months later and said, our people would like you to be their pastor. Like, really? Well, maybe when I'm 65, I'll think about moving to Antalya. But right now, I'm staying right
And
where I
how
am.
old were you?
I was 60 at the time.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
but I said, I will come back next year. So in
Okay.
2014, I spent 2 months here.
Okay.
And while I was here, I was challenged to go home, and the words were, do business with God. That's what the words
Can
were.
you explain? What
Yes.
do you mean? You had a vision?
I didn't, but others here felt like I belonged here. So they wanted me to go back to think, to talk with people, to pray, and ask God if He wanted me to be in Turkey. So I did.
And?
I went back.
No, hold on. So, did you have a conversation with God?
I did.
And what did He say? Or what did you feel He said?
Yes, I felt like I hear from God often
Right.
through the voices of other people who I know
okay.
honor Him.
So not a vision.
No vision.
Okay.
No verbal anything from God.
Right.
But through people who loved Him,
Yes.
they spoke into my life. I respected them.
Right.
I listened to them. And they said, at this stage in your life, we think this is a good thing for you.
Right.
So,
A new decade.
yes, it was. And so I contacted the people here and I said, if you want me, then I want the people to decide together to call me.
Who did you mean by the people?
Yes. There was a congregation here at St. Paul's.
Yes, I've met them.
Several members
Yes.
there.
Yes.
They called a business meeting together. They proposed that I come as their pastor.
People like Mark
Yes.
and
correct.
James.
Yes. And so they voted, and I was unanimously called to come. So the story from that point was I sold my house in 6 days, and I raised my support from America to be here. So I'm a volunteer here as the pastor of the church.
Oh, that's fantastic. Okay, well, in part 2, we're going to talk about your work here. Thank you very much, Dennis.
Thank you very much.